I don't remember another Thanksgiving long weekend that I've looked forward to more than this one. And it's not because I'm looking forward to sleeping in tomorrow, though I am. It's not because I'm looking forward to eating turkey this afternoon, even though I am. It's not because I'm going to get turkey sandwiches for the next 100 years, which I may not be so thankful for after about the 5th time or 6th time, but I'm looking forward to I looked forward to Thanksgiving weekend this year, not because I needed Thanksgiving weekend, but because I need a weekend of Thanksgiving. I've never paid much attention to this holiday. I've never paid much attention to it at all. It's always just kind of been a long weekend that you get to hang around. But this year, I feel like I really need a change. I really need to change something in my life, and I've decided this is the weekend to do it because it's been given to me to do it. I need a weekend of Thanksgiving. Have you ever felt like you've been living your life and the alarm bells just keep going off, the big red light on the wall spinning and the alarms are going off? Every time you turn around, something's going wrong. Have you ever felt that? Do you ever live like that once in a while? That's how I've felt for the last 6 months to a year. Just every time I turn around, there's something going on. There's something I've got to fix. There's something I got to think about. There's something I got to do. There's something I got to make a decision about. There's something going on. Every time I turn around, I feel like the alarms are going off, and I'm always in trouble. Now, you're sitting there and you look at me and you say, bah, come on. Your life is good. And you're right. My life is good. Many of you, as I look out here, many of you are probably dealing with stuff that's much more difficult than what I'm dealing with. My life's not that bad, but here's the problem. My problems look big to me. And your problems look big to you. And if you were to swap them with somebody, you might say, that's not that bad, Tim, but my problems look big to me. And so for the last month or so, I've been living in this sort of thinking where I've been thinking, if I just get through this, I'll be okay. If I just get through this wedding that I'm doing. And the weddings that I've done recently have been lots of fun. I'm not saying they haven't been. I've been really happy to help with them. But weddings are stressful. Because you only get one shot. If you mess up a sermon, you get next week to try again. But if you mess up somebody's wedding, call somebody the wrong name, give the groom the wrong instructions, something like that, you've messed it up and everybody will talk about it forever. Weddings are stressful. So I was thinking about a month ago, if I just get through this wedding, I'll be fine. Then I had a funeral to go to, so I thought if I just get everything arranged so I can go to this funeral, I'll be fine. And on the day of the funeral, I had another wedding to do. So I thought if I just get to Weyburn for this funeral and get back here for this wedding and everything goes okay, I'll be fine. And then I thought, man, if we just get through the reunion, I'll be fine. And if we just get through the sermon on Sunday morning of the reunion, I'll be fine. And if the kids just get home for Thanksgiving, I'll be fine. And if I just get my truck fixed, I'll be fine. And if I just get my list just keeps getting longer and longer. And I keep thinking, if I just get through this, I'll be fine. And then I get through it and I think, oh, now I got to think about this. Do you know what that feels like? Now, let me admit to you right now, let me tell you this so you know that I know this. I know that my thankfulness list is 100,000 times longer than my, boy, I've got to try and get through this list. Right? I know that. I understand that. But this is the list I focus on too often. This is the list I think about. This is the list I talk about. I don't talk about that good list. I talk about these things I've got to try and survive, try to get through, try to sort out, try to figure out. This is the list I think about. And oddly, it's the list you think about too. As I was thinking about all of this week, if you go on Google's homepage, Google it'll suggest articles for you to read just at random. There's some algorithm that figures out what you've been reading online. It'll suggest articles. So every once in a while, I'll just go and pick an article to read just for the fun of it. Try and learn something. This week, as I'm thinking about this problem where I've got this long list of thankful things, but I'm stuck thinking about all these stupid things, a list came up of articles, and one of the articles was, why do you think about bad things all the time? So guess which one I chose? clicked on that one. This girl said, this woman who wrote this article said, every time my family gets together, we tell stories. And you know what the stories are? Every single time my family gets together, we talk about the time my sister got her finger slammed in the car door. Or, every time my family gets together, we talk about the time that my sister forgot her stuffed animal back at the flight, back at the desk at the airline, and we almost missed our flight because she had to run back and get her stupid stuffed animal. We tell that story every time we get together. It says every time we get together, we tell the bad stories. And I got thinking, what do I do when our family gets together? First couple of times I took Sarah to Moose Jaw, I drove her all over the place, and I told her, okay, that's where a guy got beat up, and I saw a woman in an accident get killed over here, and this is where my dad's friend got killed over there, and this is where, she started calling it the death tour, because I'd give everybody the death tour of Moose Jaw, and I'd take her home, because I told her all these horrible things that were happening all around my neighborhood as a kid. Why do I tell her the death stories instead of the good stories? Why is that the list we talk about when we get together? This article I read, this lady had a couple of theories. Her first theory was that the bad stories contain emotion. Right? You see somebody die, there's an emotion tied to that. You see somebody get beat up, there's an emotion. The emotion fixes the memory, and so then you remember that better. I've heard that one before. She also said that the things that seem really bad and odd, you end up thinking about because your mind has to sort them out. The common nice stuff, you just let go. It just flips right through your mind because you don't have to think about it. But when you see something out of the ordinary, you have to think about it. And I thought, that's really true, isn't it? Think about any time you've been somewhere else. Have you ever gone somewhere and you've looked at something that should be familiar to you and you think it looks really strange? I was in LA with Jason Bandura last spring and we drove by a McDonald's, and I remember looking at this McDonald's and thinking, that McDonald's looks really weird. And it didn't. It looked like every other McDonald's I'd ever seen, but it just looked weird because I was staring at it, right? I thought it looked funny because I thought it looked funny. I was thinking about, what does that McDonald's look like? When you think about something, it starts to sound and look a little different than anything else because now you're focused on it. For example, you can do it with words. If I say the word exaggerate, doesn't seem that interesting, but if I say exaggerate, 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 it starts to sound weird, doesn't it? As I say it more, I start wondering, am I even saying it right? Because it sounds kind of strange. The more you think about it, the more weird it kind of sounds. It sort of takes something different because now you're focused on it. You're thinking about it. So the easy ending of this sermon, the easy thing to tell you to do is I just want you to go home and focus on this list instead of that list. And that's your Thanksgiving sermon. I want you to focus on the good things instead of the bad, and I'm going to send you home. That'd be an easy sermon to do. That'd be a fairer sermon to do. It'd be okay. But I want to give you a different goal rather than just making two lists. In fact, I think Scripture gives us a different goal. A different idea about how to focus on being thankful. Something that we've been missing, something that I've been missing, because that list of good things has been in my life for a long time. But I'm still feeling this one. The so what is, the answer is, the thing I'm trying to make you think about today, and what I want you to go home and do, is I want you to go home and feel that list. The reason you focus on your problems, the reason it feels like your life is out of control is because you're feeling your problem. You're feeling the worry. You're feeling the sadness. You're feeling the fear. You're feeling those things, and that's why it seems overwhelming. This list over here, we just think about once in a while, and we don't really feel it. It just comes and goes. My kids are here. Oh, that's nice. But I don't feel that list. That's what's missing. I need to learn to feel this list. And so when we go to Scripture, we see that happening several times, where God's people are trying to get one another to feel their blessing. Not just think about it, but feel their blessing. One of the places that this takes place. One of the places you can see this very well is in Psalm 136. So if you have a Bible, Psalm 136 is what I want you to look up. Psalm 136 is a psalm that was written for the worshipers. It was written for the temple. It was written for a group of people. Oftentimes the Psalms were written by David for himself. Oftentimes the Psalms were written to work through some problem. This is a psalm that's written for the group. And this psalm gives them no new information. Nothing. They don't learn a thing from this psalm except one thing, and that is how to feel grateful. And the psalmist does it in a very unique way. He gets them to keep repeating a phrase. Now, I've seen this done in churches before, and often when this is done, if you've got your Bible open, you'll notice every other phrase is, His love endures forever. And I've heard preachers say, okay, I'm going to read the first part, and you're going to read that response part, and everybody kind of just mumbles their way through it, right? Their love endures forever. And they get to the end, we're really mumbling it away like we couldn't care less. And that's the problem. He wants the response to be loud. He wants the response to be joyful, because this is what this is about. We've got to learn to feel the response. And so he says to them, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. And the group says, His love endures forever. And he says, give thanks to the God of gods. And they say, His love endures forever. And give thanks to the Lord of lords. His love endures forever. To Him who alone does great wonders. Look at that list of great things He has done. And everybody should be saying, His love endures forever. Because it does. That's the feeling we're supposed to get. Look at that list. God is so good. His love endures forever. He never gives up on us. He's never going to leave us. He's never going to let us go. There's no reason to panic. His love endures forever. Who by His understanding made the heavens. Every star you see in the sky, by His understanding, He made that. And the response should be from us. His love endures forever. Who spread the earth upon the waters. His love endures forever. Who made the great lights, the sun and the moon and the stars and everything in the sky. Every time you see those things, it should make you think, His love endures forever. The sun to govern the day, His love endures forever. The moon and stars to govern the night, His love endures forever. Who struck down the firstborn of Egypt. Wait a minute. That doesn't sound so cool, does it? Well, what are we talking about now? This is about protection. Egyptians were holding God's people as hostage, as slaves. They were making them work. They were killing them to death. And God heard their cries and brought them out. And so He's celebrating the fact that God protected them and heard them when they were in trouble. And He says, God came down to Egypt, and the response is, His love endures forever. And He brought Israel out from among them. His love endures forever. With a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, His love endures forever. Who divided the Red Sea asunder, His love endures forever. Who brought Israel out of the midst of it, His love endures forever. But swept Pharaoh and his army into the Red Sea. The enemies are gone. The trouble is taken care of. His love endures forever. To Him who led His people through the desert. You've given up on me, but His love endures forever. Who struck down great kings. His love endures forever. And killed mighty kings. His love endures forever. Shihon, the king of the Amorites. Again, these are their enemies that God is protecting them from and looking after. And He's protected us everywhere we went. From Egypt through the Red Sea up into the Promised Land. He's given us what He promised us. His love endures forever. And Og, king of Bashan, His love endures forever. And He gave their land as an inheritance to us. He fulfilled His promises to us. He looked after us. His love endures forever. As an inheritance to his servant Israel, his love endures forever. To the one who remembered us in our low estate, his love endures forever. And freed us from our enemies, his love endures forever. Who gives food to every creature, every bird, every little mouse that's running around. He's looking after everything there is. His love endures forever. Give thanks to the God of heaven. His love endures forever. That psalm taught them nothing. That psalm taught them nothing that they did not know. What that psalm did give them, though, was an emotion. His love endures forever. He will never give up on us. He'll never give up. He'll never quit. He'll never leave me. I'm okay. His love endures forever. And so Scripture's trying to get them to feel the blessings, because we feel our problems so well. We feel our fear, and we feel our angst and our worry. We feel that so much. We've got to learn to feel our blessings. We've got to learn to feel the good things that God has done. We've got to learn to think about that. And we need to shift our minds away from the things that are wrong, because the things that are wrong are a small list compared to the things that are right. Even in your biggest problems, you still have help. The list is still good. And so if you come up to the New Testament, a similar thing happens in the letter that Paul writes to the Philippian church. He writes to the Philippians in Philippians chapter 4, a passage that some of you will have stuck on your wall somewhere, which is a good thing to have stuck on your wall, but it's got to find your way to your heart. Writing to the Philippians in Philippians chapter 4, verse 4, he says this: "Rejoice in the Lord always." Rejoice is a feeling word. Rejoice is a feeling word. He says you've got to feel your relationship with Christ. Rejoice in this. Not just know it. Not just talk about it. Not just figure it out. Not just write notes about it. Not just go to class. But rejoice in the Lord. Brothers and sisters, are you rejoicing today? Do you have anything to be happy about? Do you have anything to rejoice about? Even in your troubles, can you rejoice? It's a command, by the way. Rejoice in the Lord always. Not just when it's easy, not just when the alarm bells have stopped, but always. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. That's why you're rejoicing. Not because your problems have all been solved, not because everything's figured out, but because the Lord is with you. The Lord is near. That's why we rejoice. And that has nothing to do with our circumstances. The Lord is near always. That's why we rejoice. Do not be anxious about anything. Do not focus only on this list, because you've got a bigger list and you've got somebody with you. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving. Focus here. Pray about this. Pray about that too, but focus here. Because God is looking at his blessing you. Right? With prayer and thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God. What I need from this weekend is I better find my peace. I haven't lived with a lot of peace lately. I need some peace. And I'm not going to find peace by fixing all my problems, because as I said at the start, every time I fix a problem, there's another problem. And the list just keeps going. I'm never going to find peace by solving all my issues. I'm going to find peace by learning to be thankful. I'm going to find peace by switching lists. I'm going to learn peace by realizing God's working on things, not just me. I'm going to learn peace by switching focuses. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. You know what? I spend way too much time ignoring those things, and I've got lots of those things I could think about, but I ignore them because I'm thinking about these things that are making me crazy. I think about my issues and my problems and all the stupid stuff I think I need to fix when I've got 1,000 things that are lovely and pure and true and right and good that I could be thinking about. And I'm making a bad choice when all I think about is what I don't like. Again, a command. If there's anything true, good, nice, beautiful, lovely, praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you've learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. I need that shift to happen this weekend. I need you to help me make that shift this weekend. If you know me and you hear me griping and wringing my hands, I need you to give me a slap and say, not a physical slap, but a verbal slap and say, dude, look at the good things. There's lots of good things. I need that shift to happen because that choice is entirely in my hands. Right? I'm the one who's deciding whether the alarms are going off or not. I'm the one deciding whether I'm living like this or with God's peace. I'm the one making the choice. Because I'm choosing what I'm focusing on. So today, again, I'm not telling you to go home and make a gratefulness list. You may have already done that, and every single depressed person in the world can make their gratefulness list. Even the most depressed person in the world can say, well, yeah, I've got a husband and kids and a house and a place and whatever. They can do that. The problem is they can't feel that. They're depressed because they can't feel those blessings. So I'm not telling you to go home and make a list. I'm telling you sometime this weekend, find some quiet, find some time where you can feel that list. Find some time where you can slow down enough, and you've been given a weekend to do it. Find some time where you can actually sit down and think about those things. Yesterday when Sarah and I were making brunch, we were starting to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving and about the fact that neither of our moms are with us this year, which is a little odd. Normally we have one or the other. We started talking about Thanksgivings and people who aren't here. She started thinking about her dad. Started thinking about being back on the farm and Thanksgivings there. I started thinking about Thanksgivings back in Moose Jaw. And we started crying about this stupid stuff. So my first reaction when that happens is I'm stuffing that down. I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous. We're crying about... But I need to feel that. I need to feel the love of family. I need to feel the love of people I care about. I need to feel the good times that we've had and the good times we're in. I need to feel that. So do you. Brothers and sisters, can we open our eyes? God has given us so much. Can we open our eyes? Some of you have your family home this weekend. What a blessing. Can you see that and be thankful? Can you tell them that you're thankful? Can you write a note to someone and say, I really appreciate you today? Can you use this day to be thankful for the blessings God has given us? Because He's given us blessings beyond measure, both here and eternal. Jesus said one time that if you feel like the alarm bells are going off in your head, if you feel like you're always just surviving, if you can barely get through the next day, here's something you can do. He said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to come to me. Come to me. If you come to me and start seeing things through my eyes, you'll see them differently. You'll find some new blessings. You'll find some new hope. You who are burdened and weary, come here. I'll help you carry that load. I'll make it better. And in fact, you'll find out that really, things are pretty light. It's okay. So my burden won't be heavier, it'll be lighter. Brothers and sisters, I'm thankful for you. Thankful you're here today. Thankful that I get to look out and see some of you today. And I hope you can feel thankful today as well. Let's stand as we sing.